तो यूं की है. अच्छा जी. So then is the chromosomal abnormality. What exactly it is? Discussing few generalized outline, and then we're going to talk about the specific types of chromosomal abnormalities. As we've discussed or defined it, that a chromosomal disorder, anomaly, aberration, mutation is missing extra or irregular portion of a chromosomal DNA. That is what exactly chromosome abnormality is. Chromosome mutation can be a change in the chromosomal segment involving more than one gene. So that is a disorder completely, that is a missing, extra, irregular, that is a chromosomal abnormality. And when you talk about mutation, it means that a certain part of it is changed, that is the normal structure is not there. Then to study all this chromosomal studies, the term karyotyping is used, that all the features of the chromosomes, the different types of the different autosomes and the sex chromosomes are said, study is made, and that is what we call as the karyotyping, in which the full set of chromosomes from an individual can be compared to the normal karyotype from the species via genetic testing. That is what the normal structure of the chromosome has to be there, that is compared with the person which we are suspecting that there is some abnormality. So that is a karyotyping. That is exactly what we do, that what then the structure has to be like. That is what we call as the karyotyping. Then the anomalies can occur in any stage, that is either meiosis or mitosis. So it's both these phases that this abnormality can occur. This abnormality can be in number and it can be in structure as well. So these are the two basic reasons that the abnormality can be there, either the number of the chromosome changes or the structure of the chromosome changes. The chromosomal abnormalities is an important cause of birth defects, and it leads to spontaneous abortions. They say that 50% of these conceptions who have chromosomal abnormalities, it leads into spontaneous abortions. And out of these spontaneous abortions, it is that 50% have the major chromosomal abnormalities. That's why it is nature's way of expelling the abnormal, so spontaneous abortion occurs. So 50% conceptions end up in spontaneous abortions, and out of these, 50% of these aborts have the major chromosomal anomalies. So you can say that what a great number it is. The most common chromosomal abnormalities in the aborted fetus are X45 monosomy, Turner syndrome, X sex monosomy, triploidy, trisomy, all these different. That means it can be a monosomy, it can be a trisomy, it can be sex, or it can be autosomal chromosomes, which have show you the problems. But what commonly is seen is a triploidy and a trisomy and Turner syndrome, that is the sex-related chromosomal abnormality is seen. So these are the few ones which are commonly seen. We'll discuss gradually. Chromosomal abnormalities account for about 7% of the major birth defects, and gene mutations account for another 8%. So these two, when you say chromosomal abnormalities, 7% are your major defects, and then gene mutation also carries about 8% weightage. How does this chromosomal abnormalities be inherited? Or how can you say that this is carried on from one generation to the other, from the mother or the father to the children? Most chromosomal abnormalities, it is said, that occur as an accident in the egg cell or sperm, and therefore in every cell of the body. So when it occurs in the germ cell, that is the egg cell or the sperm cell, it is going to be present in all the cells. Some anomalies, they are just present only in a few cells after conception, resulting in, that is what we call as the mosaic appearance or mosaicism. That is when the chain chromosomal abnormality is not present in all the cells, it is present in a few of them, and some are normal. That is what is called as mosaicism. So where some cells have the anomaly and some do not. So these two pictures can be there. These can be chromosomal anomalies, can be inherited from a parent or they cannot be. So it is different. We'll talk about it afterwards. That inheritance can be as such, the parent child accepts it or inherits it, or it is said that in the egg cells or the germ cells, that inheritance is going to be both from the father and the mother, So this type of mutation or an anomaly that is inherited from by the child, and the other one that is the acquired one, that is it develops after from by one or the other parent, and the child gets it because of some drug, some disease, some radiations. That is said, there are chances that that is not going to be carried forward. It may be carried forward, but it's not there. But that what is there in the germ cells, that is egg and the sperm coming when they both meet, form the zygote. So it is coming from both the sides. So there is no chance of the fetus being saved from getting this abnormality. So chromosomal studies have been performed on parents when anomaly is in the child, and if the parents do not possess the abnormality, it was not an inherited one. If so, that is how they rule out that the mother and the father, they do not have this problem. So that means it is not an inherited one. It is an acquired abnormality which the child has inherited. May be transmitted to generation, or maybe it will not be transmitted. So there are two features. They said that if it is from the germ cells, it is carried by the germ cells abnormality, that is for sure that it is going to be carried to both the from the to the fetus. But if it is an acquired one which is developed afterwards, then most probably it will not be inherited, but may be transmitted to subsequent generations. That there is a chance that if the one of the parent is the one that had the acquired one, and then he or she is married to another one who also has that sort of an anomaly, so both will meet together and the zygote will be having that type of abnormality. So that is for sure short and inherited type of abnormality. So where you have the normal one, that is the primary one, where it is from the germ cells, the inheritance is sure short. But where it is an acquired type of abnormality, it is plus minus, maybe inherited or maybe not. Acquired chromosome abnormalities. Now, we say that these abnormalities, they might become cancerous, or cancer cells develop into the chromosomal abnormalities. Most cancers could cause chromosomal abnormalities with either the formation of the hybrid genes, that is, there is a change in the gene. So, cancers can cause chromosomal abnormalities, and then some chromosomal abnormalities can turn cells into a leukemic cell or a cancerous cell. So it is either way, that the chromosome can change into a cancerous cell, or a cancerous cell can convert into the abnormal chromosome. That is the way around, that in both ways they can occur, such as the translocation of a gene, appropriate, inappropriate expression. So cancers could cause chromosomal abnormalities, and chromosomal abnormalities can turn the cells into leukemic cells or cancerous cells. So it is both ways. Then they said that there is a theory that DNA is repaired when there is a change. During gametogenesis, DNA repair is effective at removing DNA damages. That is, wherever there is gametogenesis going on, if there is some damage to the DNA, this is repaired by the DNA, repaired by the body itself. But in spermatogenesis, they say that this is not possible, because from spermate to sperm formation, there is a lot of nuclear chromatin remodeling when the sperm is formed. That is, the amount of the DNA is decreased. So when the from spermatids to sperm is formed, so that does not lead or allow the sperm to be remodeled, or the repair is allowed. So in spermatogenesis, the ability of repair DNA damages decreases substantially in the later part of the process, as spermatids undergo nuclear chromatin remodeling into a highly compacted sperm. So the chances of repair of the DNA is less at the lower part of the spermatogenesis. So more chances that the DNA is going to, or the chromosome which changed into an abnormal one, is going to stay as such, and it will not be repaired. So more chances in the males. Then a very important thing which plays a role in chromosomal abnormalities, and we have already talked about it, it's non-disjunction. That is gametogenesis, and when you do the gametogenesis, mitosis and meiosis, that is, the chromosomes are aligned, homologous chromosomes align at the equator. Then there is splitting up of these chromosomes. Somewhere it is the splitting up of the pair of the chromatids, somewhere it's just the splitting up of the chromatids. That is disjunction. So each daughter cell is going to have equal number of chromosomes, but it might be so that this equal number of chromosomes is not there. They get an irregular sort of division of the chromosomes. That is what we call as non-disjunction. The failure of the homologous chromosomes, that is paired, or sister chromatids, that is forming one chromosome, they to separate properly during cell division. That leads to non-disjunction. Most embryos cannot survive with a missing or an extra autosome and are spontaneously aborted. That means autosomes, not the X ones. If the 46 is not maintained, and then these autosomes, one is empty and the cell, and the other is getting the extra one, that cannot be uh, sustained by the body or the embryo, and so that leads to spontaneous abortion, and that is because of non-disjunction or a chromosomal abnormality. Then they say that there are three forms of non-disjunction. One is the failure of the pair in meiosis 1, failure of cystochromatid in meiosis 2, or failure of cystochromatid during mitosis. So any of the three phases, this non-disjunction can occur, and this non-disjunction is the main culprit which causes chromosomal abnormalities, changing the structure and the number of the chromosomes by irregular separation of the chromosomes. So it can happen in any of these three phases. So these are the types. Non-disjunction results in daughter cells with abnormal chromosome numbers. That is what we call as aneuploidy. That is the term you must know, that will cause the abnormal number of chromosomes. That is what we call as aneuploidy. This is the basis why chromosomal abnormalities occur. Then non-disjunction occurs during mitosis. We call it mitotic non-disjunction. Some conditions produce mosaicism, that is, the irregularity is found in some of the cells and not in all of the other cells. That is, it is going to give you a mosaic appearance. Sometimes the chromosomes are going to break, pieces of one chromosome attached to another. That is what occurs, and this translocation may be a balanced one, that is, the genetic material stays or a break and union occurs between two chromosomes. Critical genetic material change is not there. The amount of the chromosomal material or the genetic materials is the same, so it is a balanced one, and so this translocation is not going to give you a malformation. But whereas it is a part of the chromosome is lost, an altered phenotype is produced. That is, all of a sudden that one chromosome has less number of the genetic material and the other one has a lot more. So the phenotypic appearance, that is what is the external appearance, that changes at all. So that becomes an unbalanced genetic material presentation. So that is going to be a chromosomal abnormality. That will lead to a chromosomal abnormality. So the genetic material has to be the same in order to prevent from the chromosomal abnormalities to occur. But if the genetic material is the same, that is, it's in the cell or in the chromosomes, then it will be called a balanced type of translocation, and the other would be an unbalanced. So this will not affect and cause you chromosomal abnormalities. There are numerical abnormalities. As we said, they can be number-wise or they can be structure-wise. In the numerical abnormalities, what happens is that a normal human somatic cell that contains 46 chromosomes. This, when they divide, gametes contain 23, and gametes are haploid, or we say they are N, they're designated as N. The normal somatic cells are diploid, or they are 2N. That is how we represent it. So euploidy is the term that we say refers to any exact multiple of N, that is, it is a diploid or a triploid. But aneuploidy is a term which is not euploidy, that is an excess or less of the chromosome which is there. That is what we call as aneuploidy. That is when an extra chromosome is present, trisomy, or when one is missing, it is monosomy. So this is aneuploid. We have diploid or triploid, that is what is euploid. So, but basically in chromosomal abnormalities, you have is aneuploid, that is an excess or less of the chromosomes. The abnormalities in the chromosomes may originate, as we've already said, in the meiotic or the mitotic division. It can be either in the autosomes or in the sexomes. So there is no specification or no limitation in what cell or in what division that this abnormality can occur. So it's both sex cells and autosomes, whereas meiotic and mitotic division. And this abnormality, chromosomal chances are more in females. If you remember, we said the term when the chromosomal division or meiotic division is withheld for a longer period, and gradually it is when the incidence of chromosomal abnormality, including non-disjunction, increases with age, especially at 35 years and older, because until and unless they are not fertilized, they do not complete their second meiotic division. So those which are held in or they stop in the metaphase of the first meiotic division, that is going to be exposed there, and so they have all the chances of dividing. So that is what I told you, that this is being exposed. So that if the mother is being exposed all the time during her life to all sorts of abnormal exposure, ionizing radiation or drugs or everything, ultraviolet rays, that is going to lead more of these numerical or the chromosomal abnormalities because of this reason. So chances of having chromosomal abnormalities is more in females who are 35 or above that. That means more time for the exposure of the chromosomes. Aneuploidy. We said aneuploidy originates during cell division when non-disjunction occurs. So one term was the non-disjunction, which led to aneuploidy. These two play a role in all this chromosomal abnormalities. The presence of abnormal of chromosomes in a cell, for example, human cell 44 or 45 or 47, other than the normal 46, that is aneuploidy. A cell with any number of complete chromosome set is called a euploid, but that is extra or missing is genetic disorder, and it is called your aneuploidy. Right? So some cancer cells can also have abnormal number of chromosomes. About, they say, 68% of solid tumors are aneuploidy. Most of the cases of this type aneuploidy, extra chromosomes among live births are the result in miscarriage, and that is the commonest effect that occurs. And among the live births are 21 chromosome, 18 and 13. These are the three which are autosomes, which are the commonest ones which are involved in certain diseases. Changes in the chromosome number is not necessary that it will be there in all cells. So again, this change will be, if only in a few, it is going to produce a mosaicism, and it will going to give a lesser amount of the chromosomal abnormality, and the severity would be less as compared to those who have chromosomal abnormalities in all the cells. So these all features are going to play a role whether the abnormality is present in all the cells or it is present in the few of the cells, or it is showing a mosaicism appearance. So these two factors play a very important role. So in chromosomal abnormalities, the two important things that play a role is the non-disjunction and non-disjunction leading to aneuploidy. So these two things are leading to these chromosomal abnormalities. This you can see in this picture, it is representing the first division and the second division where there is exchange of material, and in the cells, the one of the cell is all empty, one is containing all the cells. So that is non-disjunction which is occurring in the first division and in the second division. This picture also shows you that in the second row, the in blue is non-disjunction with meiotic 2 division, and the right is the green is taking place at meiotic 1 division. Okay, so these two show you that it can be at 1 or 2, or it can be at the mitotic division. So these abnormalities can occur. So it is basic cause of abnormality is your non-disjunction. You have to understand that. Then there can be two kinds of change occurring in the chromosome. As we've said, it can change in number or it can change in structure. So these are the two types: numerical abnormalities and structural abnormalities. They affect both the sex chromosomes and the autosomes. Both can be affected, and they can have a characteristic appearance. That is, if there is sex chromosomes are affected or autosomes are affected, they have a typical phenotype. Phenotype is the physical appearance, and they may resemble those patients or those children who have similar phenotypic appearance rather than their own sisters and brothers. So that is how they show you that they are resembling the chromosomal abnormalities shown in A baby and in the B baby of the other family. Both are going to show you the same phenotypic appearance, resembling each other in the features because of the same chromosomal anomalies, and the features are the same, other than the one family children resembling each other. So that difference is going to be there because they show you a common appearance. All these chromosomal abnormality, phenotypic appearances are common in such each type of patient, baby. Numerical disorders, what can be there in number? They are called aneuploidy. That is, either one is empty or the other is excess. Is individual is either missing a chromosome monosomy, that is one is less, that is Turner syndrome. In this, it is a sex chromosome. So you can put it both ways, Turner syndrome into sex as well as the autosome, but basically the number is less. Have two or more, that is more than the normal, that is it can be a trisomy or it can be a tetrasomy, and Down syndrome in trisomy 21 chromosome, that is a Down syndrome is a very good example, that is a trisomy, and Turner syndrome is a monosomy. So having an extra copy of this chromosome means, that is extra chromosome means that the individual has 3 copies of each of its genes. That means when the 2 chromosomes have one type of gene on each chromosome, but when it is going to be 3, they are going to have an extra copy, that is an extra gene instead of the 2, making it difficult for cells to properly control how much protein is made. So there is, because your genetic material is your protein, so it forms an irregularity in the proteins. That is, producing too much or too little protein can have serious consequences. So that means it disturbs the level of the protein that is there in the genetic material, when the cell cannot understand or it cannot balance out the amount of protein material. So that leads to an abnormality or some consequences develop when there is less of protein or more of protein. So the frequency of, again, advanced maternal age. The same factor is non-disjunction, and trisomy 21 is because more common in advanced maternal age, and same because of the non-disjunction. So everything is bogging down to the same factors. Then there can be a sperm aneuploidy. That was autosome. This is sperm aneuploidy. Exposure of male to certain lifestyle can lead to a sperm aneuploidy. And in that, it can be tobacco smoking, occasional exposure to insecticides, perforated compounds or fluorine compounds. All these, if there is an exposure of the father to all these things, that can lead to damage to the sperm, and so because of that the sperms can be affected and leading to a sperm aneuploidy. So these all can also occur. That was, so it was autosome plus sperm aneuploidy can occur. If you see, this is a picture of the numerical abnormalities. This just shows you monosomy and trisomy, a picture. In this picture above, it is shown that one chromosome is missing. Trisomy in individual, it is instead of 2, all of them are pairs, homologous, but in the lower one, you can see that it is 3 instead of 2. So that is a trisomy. So this is what you exactly get. And this is all a feature of karyotyping that you see. And in that, you can assess whether the chromosome is extra or less. So then you can fit in the features. So these are numerical abnormalities, the number of the chromosomes that is missing. This picture also, number 21 chromosome, you can see there are 3. All the others, they are pairs, they are 2. So this is also a picture which shows you an excess or a picture of trisomy, right? And it is the number 1. 1, 2, 3 is what is written is the numbers of chromosomes. That is 23 pairs, 22 of the chromosomes and the 23 and 22 to 23. And then you have this X and Y, that is the sex chromosomes. What can occur because of all this aneuploidy or non-disjunction? The result of this error is a cell with an imbalance of chromosomes. Such a cell is said to be an aneuploid cell, because when the number is less or more, it is called an aneuploid cell. Loss of a single chromosome is referred to as monosomy, and gaining is referred as trisomy. An aneuploid gamete is fertilized. A number of syndromes, if the aneuploid gamete, mother or the father or both, they are fertilized, a number of syndromes might result. That means the baby that is born is going to show you features of that abnormality, and that is what we label as many factors together or many points which the baby shows. That is going to be called as, labeled as a syndrome. So a number of syndromes might result. This, when you have monosomy, the most commonly known that you see is Turner syndrome, because the others, they do not survive. Others are lethal during fetal life. Only the one that survive is the Turner syndrome. Survival is better if there is mosaicism, that is, all the cells are not carrying the abnormal cells, or the number of chromosomes is restored via duplication, that is, of the single. There is a process in which they say that the chromosomal number is restored via duplication or of a single monosomic chromosome, it is said that if there is a process, what they call it as chromosome rescue, they say that in the parents it has seen that this irregularity is come at rescue by a process what we call as chromosomal rescue, that it converts or restores what we said, the repair the DNA and it restores it to the normal level. So if that is done or chromosomal rescue is done, then the child will survive. And these two factors will save the baby. Otherwise, it is abortion that is going to occur. They say overwhelming majority, 99, greater than 99% of fetus with only one X chromosome karyotyping others are spontaneously aborted. So only if these two factors are there, that is chromosome rescue, that is the damage is repaired of the DNA, or there is mosaicism, all cells are not involved, only then there are chances that the baby will survive. Otherwise, 99% of the fetuses in monosomy, they are going to be aborted. When in this Turner syndrome, those fetus which survive, they have a female appearance because it is only the X, characterized by absence of ovary, short stature, webbed neck, lymphedema, extremities, skeletal deformities, broad chest, wily face, nipples. But the chromatin body is negative. That is, the bar body is negative because one X is going to be normal and the other euchromatin and the other is going to be the heterochromatin. As it is just X, you see it is just XO, so this is just one, so it has to be the active one, so it is going to show you a chromatin body negative, so the bar body will be negative. Then there is a condition what we call as triple X syndrome, or infantile scanty and that is the periods and the mental retardation, that is there are three X's, that is a trisomy. They have two sex chromatin bodies because they are in this, they are going to have two sex chromatins because they have two chromosomes which are going to be heterochromatin, or they show you bar body. So that is the difference. In when you have monosomy, one X that is active, the other one is not there, so it's not going to show you the bar body. But when you have an extra chromosome, you're going to have two because already one was present, and when one is there, there is going to be another bar body. So in this triple X syndrome, you have two bar bodies, you see. This is the picture of the Turner syndrome. Then there is, that was monosomy. Then there is the autosomal trisomy. A chromosome other than the sex chromosome X and Y is present in 3 copies instead of the normal number of 2 in the diploid cells. That is, the sex chromosome X and Y is present in 3 copies. That is, more than one is there. Down syndrome. Down syndrome, a trisomy of chromosome number 21. Trisomy occurs in at least 0.3% of the newborns and is nearly 25% leads to spontaneous abortion. Turner's was 99% abortion, leading to causes of pregnancy waste, and is the most common cause of mental retardation. You have seen babies advanced maternal age again is leading to non-disjunction, and non-disjunction leading to Down syndrome. That is a 2 and 2 together, and all the features they fit into it. This is a picture of the baby of a typical facies, that is the Down syndrome. So I told you about the Simeon crease when we talked in the general embryology. They say that those babies who have this line, that is the Simeon crease, that is characteristic of this transverse crease, that is characteristics of babies who are chromosomal abnormalities, and in case of the Down syndrome. These are all typical faces of the, they have shown you the arrow with the Simeon crease or the transverse crease. So they are the typical features. This picture in black, that is the typical faces of a Down syndrome baby. Then others can be Edward syndrome, trisomy of chromosome number 18 can be affected, syndrome trisomy of 13 that can be affected. These are slightly more compatible with life as compared to the other one. Down syndrome was trisomy 21, monosomy is Turner syndrome. These are both the abnormalities that you see in trisomies. Then is sex chromosome aneuploidy. The sex chromosome aneuploidy is the term sex chromosome aneuploidy, conditions with an abnormal number of sex chromosomes. That is 0. Other than XX female or XY, it is that is 0. That is either more or less. normal is there and it does not have that. That is what we label as aneuploidy. That is irregularity. That we were talking about was the autosomal aneuploidy. In this, very important one is Klinefelter syndrome, which you can see it is 47. You have double XY. The chromosomal number is double XY. Is the most common sex chromosome aneuploidy in humans. Hypogonadism and infertility in men. It is seen in men. 80% with this syndrome have one extra X chromosome resulting in the karyotype XXY. So a male has to be XY, but in this one is extra, so you should expect a bar body to be positive. The other cases that you see in the sex ones can have all these sorts of pictures which are there or structural abnormalities can be there. So the commonest sex chromosome abnormality or aneuploidy is Klinefelter syndrome, which shows you an extra X. You see these pictures, hypogonadism and infantile. There's another condition is trisomy X is a form of sex chromosome aneuploidy where females have 3 instead of 2 X chromosomes. So that is they are mildly affected by neurophysiological and physical symptoms. XYY male, super male. This incidence of XYY syndrome is approximately 1%. It is seen, it is called as the cases. Many cases remain trisomy X, that is 47, triple X can be there. So all sorts of presentations can be there. X chromosome. This is a picture of the monosomy because and this monosomy of that was trisomy. This is monosomy of sex chromosomes. The best presentation is your Turner syndrome, and that shows you or a monosomy. There is one chromosome is less. How do you diagnose these is by chromosome DNA analysis. That is done and then you diagnose the amount of chromosomal number which is there. Okay. Then from monosomy, disomy, trisomy, and the di is the normal trisomy. Then we have tetrasomy and pentosomy. Persons with these abnormalities of 4 or 5 sex chromosomes. So tetra and 4 and penta is 5, so you can have more than that. The extra sex chromosomes do not actually accentuate sexual characteristics. They do not show you the features of the sex. And usually, the greater the number of sex chromosomes present, greater is the severity of mental retardation and physical impairment. They do not show you extra features. It's just that they show you a mentally retarded position that is there, the baby shows, and the sex cells would be more. So, tetrasomy and pentasomy can be there. What are the structural abnormalities? These were all their numerical abnormalities, that is change in the number. So you can have monosomy, you can have trisomy, you can have tetrasomy, and you can have pentasomy. So Turner syndrome is in the sex as well as in the monosomy, a best example. The Down syndrome is your trisomy and best example of trisomy, and there you have the sex aneuploidy, that is Klinefelter syndrome. Right, now we go on to the structural abnormalities, what can occur. The chromosome structure is altered, can take several forms. What all can occur is deletion. A portion of the chromosome is missing or deleted. That is these two syndromes, Jacobson or Hirschhorn syndromes. These are, that is a part of it is missing or deleted. Duplication is portion is duplicated, resulting in extra genetic material. Deletion is less of the genetic material. Translocation, a portion of one chromosome is transferred to another chromosome. There are two main types in this. One is reciprocal. Two segments from two different chromosomes have been exchanged. Robertson translocation, an entire chromosome is attached to the other at the centromere. So these can be of two types. So you can have a deletion, you can have a duplication of the material, or you can have a translocation. Let me show you these pictures. You see this. This is a translocation, that is material is swapped with the other chromosome. That the change in the chromosome is there. If you see this, a deletion, genetic material is missing. It shifts over to this other chromosome. Single chromosome disorder. Duplication can occur. Genetic material is present twice. If you can see with the arrow, it has been changed. The inversion, the structure is changing. That is, the place of genetic material is flipped from one place to the other. The arrangement is changed. So this all is single chromosome disorders that can occur. What is inversion can occur? A portion of the chromosome has broken off, turned upside down and reattached. So therefore the genetic material is inverted. If you see this inversion, if you see this in this third picture, it is a genetic material is flipped from the lower position, it goes to the upper position. That is inversion. The genetic material is inverted. Then you have insertions. A portion of one chromosome has been deleted from its normal place and inserted into an other chromosome. You see this insertion. Genetic material is added from another chromosome. It has been deleted from one and it is added into the other chromosome. That is insertion. From one, it has been inserted into the other. Then rings. A portion of the chromosome has broken off and formed a circle or a ring. This can happen with or without loss of genetic material. That is, rings can occur. If you see this in this one, it is the ring chromosome. That is, a portion is removed and they form a ring. They break, a part of it may be removed from it, or it can be a complete one. That is, it forms a ring. The shape of the chromosome changes, right? This again shows you, first picture is your deletion. Then the second one shows your duplication. The chromosome length becomes more. Inversion is from below, it goes upwards. And then there is insertion and translocation from one side to the other. So these are all the terms which show you that what can change the structure, right? If these pictures, that was the ring. Then there is isochrome formation, formed by the mirror image copy of a chromosome segment, including the centromere. You see this. This is in the F. See, there is one segment, that is another one is formed. It is separates out, and with the separation of the centromere, splitting up of the centromere, then there is a mirror image copy of this chromosome which is formed. So that is called an isochromosome. That is the same type. So you can say it is sort of a duplication of the chromosome that can occur. That is formed by a mirror image copy of a chromosome segment, including the centromere. You have seen that. Chromosomal instability syndromes are a group of disorders characterized by chromosomal instability and breakage. That is, many types of chromosomal abnormalities are there, and it is an unstable chromosome. They often lead to an increased tendency to develop certain types of malignancies, right? So these are the different types of abnormalities, changes which can lead to structural changes. See this: insertion, translocation, deletion, duplication, inversion. All these, they show you the different pictures. If you see a reciprocal transfer A in this, that is from above below, then B is your deletion of the terminal part, C is the ring formation, D is the duplication, that it is added and becomes longer. The two same type paracentric inversion in E, that is the from above below it has changed. So all these indicate how the structural abnormalities are produced. So these are the events which lead to the structural chromosomal abnormalities, which have to be the normal one. Then structural chromosomal abnormalities. That was the way we said in the numerical one. The cause of the numerical changes is your disjunction and leading to aneuploidy. Aneuploidy led into the numerical aberration or the numerical abnormalities. Structural chromosome, all this deletion, inversion, duplication, all these, they are the basis and they lead to structural chromosomal abnormalities. So in what are the different types of chromosomal abnormalities which result because of all these steps? Usually result from chromosome breakage. Breaks are caused by environmental factors, which can be viruses, radiation, and drugs. These are basically your teratogens, what we label as. So if it is a partial breakup, that is what we call as Prader-Willi syndrome. If it is a micro deletion, the characteristics are different. If it is from a with how it is represented, depending on the genetic material, if it is coming from the mother or it is coming from the father. That is, when the chromosomes are being crossed over, how does the material come from and where and what picture does it give? So that is called the genomic imprinting. because of the whether it is a maternal chromosome or whether it is a paternal chromosome. So according to that, if it is a maternal chromosome, the result is called the Engelmann syndrome, and if it is a paternal chromosome, this is Prader-Willi syndrome. So this depends on a deletion, which is differentially expressed depending on genetic material inherited from the mother or from the father, and that is all the genes they are imprinted. So that is what is called, the process is called the genomic imprinting. That is when the deletion occurs, where does the deletion occur, whether the part is coming from the mother or the father chromosomes. That is what we say that is called genomic imprinting. And if it is a maternal chromosome, the disease has been called as Engelmann syndrome, and if it is from the father, it is called the Prader-Willi syndrome. And if it is either of the parents, these two names syndromes, that can be Lee-Decker syndrome or Willow-Cardiofacial or Sprint-Nissen syndrome, these can occur. So it can be either one, if it can lead to this, or if it is mother. So these are the structural defects which can occur, and I told you the cause that can lead to the structure change in the chromosome. You can see all these pictures. These are all structural change syndromes. Then is karyotyping. What is karyotyping? I've showed you the picture that there is a chart of the different type of chromosomes which are there, the normal structure. That is there, we show you the homologous pairing. Karyotyping involves performing an amniocentesis. You remove fluid if you're suspecting chromosomal abnormalities in order to study the cells of the unborn fetus during a metaphase 1. So you do amniocentesis and you spread out and you do karyotyping, that is you see the chromosomal abnormal cells, the picture of the different types of chromosomes, whether it is leading to monosomy or you are suspecting the trisomy. So that is what we call as karyotyping. So you see the study of exactly the chromosomes. Light microscopy can be used to visually determine if aneuploidy is an issue. You can use the microscopes as well. So you, from the amniocentesis, remove the fluid from the amniotic cavity, remove the amniotic fluid as I told you, and that is a very important test that is done. And then you do the karyotyping, to a study of the normal to abnormal cells. So, and you see what are the cells, chromosome cells, numbers. What are the diagnostic techniques for identifying the genetic abnormality? So that was structural and numerical. So we said it is about 50% lead to spontaneous abortions, and then this can be more chances of these abnormalities in the females of 35 plus age, and I told you because of the reason. And then these can cause malignancy, or malignancy can cause chromosomal abnormalities, and it is said that more chances of chromosomal abnormalities in case of the lower end of the spermatogenesis because of the change in the DNA material, because when there is remodeling from spermatid to a sperm, then there is also a change in the DNA material, and when this DNA material is remodeled, there are chances of chromosomal abnormalities. Then we said disjunction, non-disjunction, and aneuploidy, which is the basic cause of your numerical numbers, abnormalities. And then we talked about deletion, inversion, duplication, isochrome, rings, chrome. All these are the causes or the basis of your structural abnormality, which results. And we talked about the different syndromes which are going to lead to the structural problems which are there, the different types of diseases which are there, or the syndromes are there. Then diagnostic techniques for to see as the genetic cells. If you have to study specifically, we do the chromosomal analysis, and that is karyotyping is done. And that is another test that we can do is cytogenetic analysis. That is to assess the chromosome number and the integrity, what is the shape and all. Cell cultures arrested in metaphase by chemical treatment, and then is revealed the banding that is there, what is the normal pattern. Then there is a test what is called as fluorescence in situ hybridization, that is also done to study the chromosomes. And then a special karyotype analysis, that is, it is a very important test, that is the karyotyping is done, and you see whether the number is normal or whether the size of the chromosome is normal, so that you are to make out whether it is a sex aneuploidy or whether it is an autosomal aneuploidy. So these are the tests which can be done specifically for genetic abnormalities. Maybe numerical, maybe structural. Then we said if it does not fall purely into the genetic domain or it doesn't fall purely into your environmental domain, we call an anomalies caused by multifactorial inheritance. That is, it may be due to many reasons. So when it is a combination of genetic and environmental factors, we say it is due to multifactorial inheritance. Multifactorial traits are often single major anomalies such as cleft lip, isolated cleft palate, neural tube defects, anorexia. All these are because of the single major anomalies. That is, one type of anomaly is there which can be because of many causes. The recurrence risk used for genetic counseling for families having birth defects is determined by the multifactorial inheritance. That is, if these based on the frequency of the anomaly, that how much popular or common is this anomaly and how much is that common in different relatives of that family. So if you are suspecting that it might reoccur, this anomaly, a specific anomaly, those which we have mentioned above, a single major anomaly, they are advised with genetic counseling so as to, and that counseling of the family is done according to the frequency of the anomaly and according to the general population and also in the relatives. So they see how common is that anomaly in general population and also into the relatives of that family. So then they do this genetic counseling and that they advise the parents that you do this test so that it might be a reappearance of that anomaly. Then there is something what we call as gene mutation. Now, what is gene mutation? Is a permanent alteration in the DNA sequence that makes up a gene. So there is a DNA permanent change in the DNA, that the structure is completely changed, such that the sequence can differs from what it is found in most people. So the gene altogether changes. This can affect anywhere from a single DNA to multiple genes. So one gene could be affected or it could be multiple genes that could be affected. So it's a permanent one and it is the structure changes as compared to all what is seen in all other people. One gene can be affected or more than one gene can be affected. There are two types of genes that the process that can be classified two major types ways. One is hereditary mutation that can occur. It is inherited from a parent and are present throughout a person's life in virtually every cell in the body. So there is no mosaicism. It is called germline mutation. And I told you germline mutation is present in ova plus the sperm both. So it is called germline mutation and we said germline mutation problems are going to be carried on family wise, that is by inheritance, because it is present in both the cells, so there is no chance that somebody is going to miss it out. So are present in the parent's egg or sperm cells, which are also called the germ cells. So fertilized egg cell receives DNA from both the parents. If it has mutation, the child grows from the fertilized egg will have the mutation in each of his or her cells. Okay, so this is called a hereditary mutation, that it is going to be transferred on if it is in the sex cells. And then is an acquired mutation or somatic mutation, occurs at some time during person's life and are present in only certain cells and not only in all cells. So that is mosaicism is there. It is caused by environment, ultraviolet rays, DNA copies during cell division, changes might occur. So these cannot be passed on to the next generation because it has affected that chromosome in the specific person due to a specific reason. But it will not pass on forward what it is just present in one cell. It may be there in one or two cells, not in all. As in the inherited one or the primary one, it is going to be present in all the cells because it is coming both from the father and the mother. So it is going to be carried by the zygote, and zygote is going to transfer it to all the cells of the baby, and so the baby is definitely going to have this type of mutation which is there. So then there is something what we call as polymorphism. It is most disease causing gene mutations are uncommon. Many they do not show in the features in the generations. That is, it's not necessary that it is going to be a malformation. Genetic alterations that occur in more than 1% of the population are called polymorphism. That it's taken as a normal phenomena that these changes of genes, if you see, if your great grandparents had a certain feature which is not going to be traveled on, it color of the eyes change, color of your hair change, all that is, there is a change in the features. So that is because of the genes are changing. That is genetic alteration that occur in more than 1% of the population is called polymorphism. This is common enough to be considered a normal variation in DNA. It's not a mutation, it's just called a variation. So this can be 1 to 2% people it can occur, and it is called a normal variation in the DNA. And this can lead to differences between people such as eye color, hair color, blood type, all that. So the normal differences that are there from the family below, sisters and brothers, all that is said to be a certain normal variation in the DNA, and this normal variation in the DNA shows you different features in the brothers and sisters in the different families. So that is what we call as polymorphism, and it's not exactly called the pathogenic gene mutation. So it's just a normal variation which is there. Although many polymorphism has no negative effects on a person's health, some may influence the risk of developing certain disorders. Though this change in the color, hair, and all those features, that is, it's not going to affect the fetus, but it might have a negative effect. So it's just a normal variation. So you, that is, a polymorphism is different from gene mutation. Gene mutation is a damaging thing. It has a negative effect, whereas polymorphism is not a negative thing. It's just a variation in the DNA, and that leads to certain changes in the family which is there. This might not have any negative effect, but at times it may have the chance of developing disorders which are there. So that is difference between gene mutation and polymorphism. There is what is normally, if your mother has and the father have brown eyes and the child gets blue eyes, that is, or gray colored eyes or green colored eyes, and the hair color changes, all this is variation in the DNA which leads to the changes, and that is what we call as polymorphism, and it's said to be about 1% or more from the normal variation that is there that leads to all these features. Then how do you detect all these abnormalities which are there, whether it is environmental, whether it is multifactorial, or whether it is genetic? Different techniques and samples are needed for different tests. For the prenatal diagnosis of a fetus, before that amniocentesis, you remove the fluid from the anterior abdominal wall and entering into the abdominal cavity, you see all the cells which are there, different chemicals, everything is tested. Then I told you chorionic villus sampling, that is, you take a part of the trophoblast and then you test that for it. That is the CVS, that is chorionic villus sampling. Then circulating fetal cells can be taken and then they can be seen whether they are normal or abnormal. Be collected and analyzed in order to detect the possible chromosomal abnormalities. Then, for the pre-implantational diagnosis of an embryo, a blastocyst biopsy can be performed. That means as early as implantation, it can be done that the cells can be taken and the diagnosis can be there. Then a lymphoma leukemia screening, a bone marrow biopsy can be taken intrauterine life, and the biopsy can be taken and it can be detected whether the blood cell problem is there or it is not. So you can do all these tests. And for karyotyping, that is specific for genetic testing, and then you can have the DNA analysis, that is again for your genetic abnormalities that you do. Otherwise, these are the general tests, that amniocentesis, CVS, circulating fetal cells, pre-implantation, bone marrow, all these are for any sorts of abnormalities, whether it is environmental, multifactorial, or genetic environment problems. And that finishes the birth defects and the tests we have already done. What are the different types of tests that can be done? So we said birth defects, two types of birth defects, causative agents. One is environmental and the other is the genetic, and the third, less positive, is your multifactorial, that is many ways that can occur leading to the abnormalities. Okay. For the environmental, you had all the causes, radiations, viruses, drugs, all that we talked about, that was the causative agent. Then we talk about the general one. The general one has two types, the numerical and the structural. The numerical causes is non-disjunction and leading to aneuploidy that results in irregular number. Structural is deletion, inversion, duplication, all these points. They lead to the change in the structure of the chromosome, and that leads to certain syndromes. So all this is the genetic formation, and we said it's about 50% abort, and out of those 50%, we have 50% which are going to be producing major chromosomal abnormalities. So the major defect that occurs is chromosomal abnormalities, which leads to a spontaneous abortion if it is a major defect. Okay, then. Next time, inshallah, we'll do the last bit of the general one, that is amniotic cavity, and the amniotic fluid that we said is a very important factor that is going to cause all this amniocentesis. So the development of that amniotic fluid, what function is of the amniotic cavity and the fluid. Okay then, thank you.